July 4th, 1930, Independence Day. 40,000 patriots jammed Chicago's Arlington Park for the Stars and Stripes handicap. Arnold Spats Vincent was among those 40,000. So were Elliot Ness and his untouchables. They were there to take Spats Vincent. They waited only for the delivery of a piece of paper. A list of the names of officials in high places who were ready to do business with the crime cartel. It gave the untouchables their first real crack at the immaculate Spats Vincent, who for years had kept himself neatly beyond the reach of Ness and his men.
And they're off and running. It's Sunbow and Golden Prince going to the front. Jockeys third ahead and Pigeonhole fourth a length. Then comes Silverdale, Blue Larkspur, Caruso, Hot Toddy trails. Now it's Pigeonhole taking command, drawing out a length and a half. Around the turn, it's Blue Larkspur, Sunbow, and Misstep head and head. Into the stretch, it's Blue Larkspur taking command with Misstep and Sunbow. It's Blue Larkspur, Misstep, and Sunbow right behind their heads apart. But it's Blue Larkspur holding it, winning by a half a length.
Spats Vincent was holding $30,000 in winning tickets, but he was never going to collect.
I failed.
Come and Kill Me, starring Robert Stack as Elliot Ness, with special guest star Dan Daly, narrated by Walter Winchell.
Spats Vincent was dead, murdered by a steel needle expertly thrust through the heart. There was only one man powerful enough to put out a contract on Vincent, a man named Striker. Ness had the scream out for Striker. Ness's only chance for nailing Mr. Big depended on a young man with the fighting skill of a murderer.
You got calluses on the side of your hand, the same as your friend. Where did you get your karate training? Look, we've got all the time in the world. Now, let's start from the top. What's your name? Where do you live?
All right, you won't tell us anything. Suppose we tell you a few things. We don't need your name to send you up for life. You took Spats Vincent from us. You got a Give us the man who pulled the trigger on Spats.
Give him the phone. Make your call.
Go on, you're entitled to it.
No, thank you, Mr. Ness.
Well, I've just called. Every stitch of the handmade clothing those boys wore came from identical sources. Suits, ties, shoes, everything.
Yeah?
That's it. There wasn't a laundry mark or label, nothing.
Figures. A wallet and identification cards, nothing. Nothing in fingerprint, nothing in R&L.
Elliot, you boys are too polite. Let me have him.
You're a waste of energy, Jim.
Picked him up, Captain Johnson. He's the number 4.
Want to ring him out for us?
Right.
Hello, Mr. Stryker.
I got your invitation, Ness. What do you want?
Come in. Is this the man that gave you the contract on Spats Vincent? Look at him! Is this the man who paid you to kill Spats Vincent? Lock him up.
Come on.
If he changes his mind, Stryker, I'll invite you again.
You seem somewhat agitated on the telephone, Mr. Stryker.
Wouldn't I be? Ness has him.
So what?
How can you be so sure?
He's well schooled.
All right, but we play it safe. We take care of this one. We take care of him now.
We do nothing now, Mr. Stryker. Absolutely nothing.
There's a robot. That's one, please.
Thank you. Did you read about Will Rogers today?
No, but I will.
Yeah.
Throughout the days and nights of interrogation, the dead man's picture commanded a box on page 1 of every leading newspaper in Chicago. Nobody came forward. On July 12th at 2:20 p.m., John Doe was buried in a pauper's grave in Potter's Field.
You know how Potter's Field got its name?
No.
That's what Judas's 30 pieces of silver bought. After his death, they used the field to bury strangers. Remember that from Sunday school?
Why, a boy's last words would be, I have failed. 11 days of an around-the-clock watch, and what do we end up with? A lily.
According to the lab, that's not just any lily. That's an anthurium lily shipped in from Hawaii.
Here's the Agriculture Department's list of every florist in Chicago who handles that particular flower.
How many?
294.
All right, let's go.
It was on the third day and on the North Shore that the Untouchables found their man.
No, it was late Wednesday. No, it was last Tuesday that she came in. Yeah, I remember how she wanted my guarantee that I was selling her the best anthurium lily in the shop.
Did you get her name or address?
Oh, no, this was strictly a cash transaction. How she counted out that cash. Pennies, nickels, and dimes. I hated to take her money.
Can you remember anything about her? What she looked like?
Oh, she was a pretty little thing. Yeah, she's about 5'3" and much too skinny.
Remember anything else, Mr. Foster? Anything at all?
Yeah. She was about, I'd say about 17. And she had this long auburn hair. And these large gray eyes. I remember. Large, frightened gray eyes.
Thank you.
Within 24 hours, the Untouchables summoned Mr. Foster to the Chicago morgue.
I'm afraid we weren't the only ones who staked out that grave, Mr. Foster. Would you look at her, Mr. Foster?
What can I tell you? Butchers.
Would you look at her hair, Mr. Foster? See if you recognize that.
Same color. Same length. My daughter has hair like that.
Close it.
A young girl had been brutally murdered because she left a flower on an unmarked grave. The picture brought an anonymous call. The girl in the sketch was Linda Parrish. She lived alone, parentless, friendless, except for a sometime boyfriend, Jimmy Chavez.
Chavez, we're federal officers.
Yes, but there must be a mistake.
There's no mistake, Mr. Chavez. We have a search warrant. Where's your wife, Mr. Chavez?
Oh, my wife don't feel so good. She's lying down.
What is it, Julian?
My name's Ness, Mrs. Chavez. We're here to ask about your son.
Son? No. I have no son.
A son named James Edward Chavez was born to Julius and Catherine Chavez, April 14th, 1910, 1139 West Cicero Avenue. Here's the birth certificate in case you've forgotten.
Jimmy is away. He's away for a long time.
I told you my wife is sick. You have questions, you ask me.
I have a lot of questions to ask you, Mr. Chavez. Where do you work, Mr. Chavez?
I am too old to work.
What do you do for a living?
I do odd jobs around.
Must be very odd to afford this house.
I take in sewing.
No, Catherine, you don't talk.
All right, let's save a little time. Chavez, your name used to come up regularly in racket investigations. You're a runner for the organization, took any job they gave you. 6 years ago, you moved here to Maywood. Since then, you've been clean, too clean. 3 years ago, both the first and second mortgages in this house were paid in full in a single payment. How, Mr. Chavez? How did you make your score 3 years ago? Is that when your son turned assassin? Is that when he committed his first murder?
There's nothing, Elliot. Not a shirt, book, photograph, nothing.
They sure did a good job of clearing him out.
Maybe. Tell me, Mrs. Chavez, how would you like to see your son? There he is. Aren't you going to look at him, Mrs. Chavez?
That is not our son. No.
He's not your son, Mr. Chavez. Why is your wife crying?
There is a dead boy lying there. What do you expect her to do? Laugh?
The gamble that a mother's love would prove stronger than fear had failed. The body of Jimmy Chavez would be returned to its grave. Ness knew he would have to find his answers if any were to be found elsewhere. A run-through of the employment offices in the Chicago area led Ness and his men to the Lake Michigan waterfront. But none of the dock hands knew Jimmy Chavez. One of the dock bosses, however, responded to a description.
All by yourself, all the time, you know. Never sneaked off for a smoke with the other guys, just worked. Well, that's fine with me. I always wonder a little about a guy like that, you know.
Get this job?
Yeah, big, strong, knew how to lift, you know, with the legs. Never got tired.
What about lunch break? You must have talked to somebody.
Just wolfed it down and walked around the ships all by himself until it was time for me to blow the whistle and go back to work.
At home at the end of the shift, huh?
At the end of his shift, he had a special deal here, he and another guy. Used to work 6-hour shifts instead of 8. Knocked off work at 2.
Why? Who set it up?
One day I get a chance call. Put these guys on the payroll. So who asked questions? Put them on. But I did ask the kid about the short shift. You know what he told me? He said he was going to school. Yeah, school.
What school?
I don't know. But every day after work, he used to wash up real good, clean his nails, put on a suit, and off he'd go like a bird.
You mean off he'd go like a bird? Did he drive? Somebody pick him up? What?
Nah, I took the regular city bus like the rest of us did.
Where's the closest pickup?
2 blocks down, Washington.
Thanks.
Hey, listen. I could use a dozen like him. Work these head off.
Yes, I had a regular run on 33. Been retired more than a year now, though.
The bus company told us that, Mr. Bennett. Still, I thought you might remember. The waterfront, Washington Street, a 2 o'clock pickup.
2 o'clock pickup?
He was always well-dressed, got off shift early. He'd be scrubbed.
Oh, sure. I remember that one. Stuck out like a rose in a weed patch among all the rest of them there dock workers. Nice young fella, though. Quiet. Never missed a trip. 6 days a week. For a whole solid year, never missed a trip.
Tell me a stop where he got off?
He didn't. Rode clear to the end of the line.
Thanks, Mr. Dillon.
End of the line. Everybody out.
All right, let's start walking.
Walk where?
Every mile of Evanston.
When are you going to leave us alone?
Look what you've done to her already. Look.
We didn't do that, Mr. Chavez.
Come along, please. We'd like another look at the attic. And we'll need the both of you.
Must we?
Yes, you must.
Must we?
Catherine, we go.
Look, Rico. Looks exactly like that picture.
Could be a coincidence. Hello, Louis. Rick.
Hello, Mr. Bayless.
There's nothing coincidental about that.
And now back to the untouchable.
The man of 71 Drury Lane was identified as Dexter Lloyd Bayless, a respected member of the community who lived in the Evanston house alone. The Untouchables could find nothing to link Bayless to the organization, to Arnold Spatz Vincent, or to the man called Stryker. The two young men were identified as Louis Mallett and Rick Taro, factory employees of South Chicago. Mr. Bayless was about to acquire new neighbors. The house opposite the Bayless mansion was acquired as a stakeout headquarters. At the request of the United States Attorney's Office, Agent Rossi's sister and her family agreed to move in as protective cover for the untouchables.
Kind of nice to have such a suburban-looking sister with a ready-made family.
What about a tail?
Yeah, a man's too smart. This town's too small.
Elliot?
This should be an interesting stakeout.
The stakeout revealed that the Bayless household operated with the regularity of a crack regiment. Bayless lived alone. Bayless himself left the house at 10, 3 mornings a week, invariably returning between 2 and 2:30. After one solid week of surveillance, at 10:10 in the morning, Ness made his move. Rossi and Hobson stood guard in the event that Mr. Bayless would make an unexpected return. With Ness were Youngfellow, the Untouchables' ace bugman, and Rossman, who could open everything but the pearly gates.
Seems like the lock on a bank vault.
You can figure it out when we check the outside?
Figure out the U.S. Mint by then.
Everything within view revealed a tidy, gentle man with an appreciation for beauty. A man with a love for cultivated flowers. Among them, a rare type of lily. At 10:33 a.m., Ness, Youngfellow, and Rossman entered the Bayless home. They had to work fast. They had to work clean.
I could bug the base.
It's a dying gall.
So?
Go bug a doorknob.
They didn't know what they were looking for. They didn't expect what they found. There was only one thing they could be sure of. Every arrow they had followed since the murder of Arnold Spatz Vincent pointed right here.
How's it coming, Bill?
We'll be able to hear his heartbeat if he has a heart.
Let's try the basement.
That's Vincent and Nate Stryker figure into all that.
I don't know. I know we're going to have to open up more than just that front door upstairs.
What's he have against Paul Whiteman?
There goes that cane again.
Here they come.
Well, should we go down to the classroom, boys?
Down to the classroom.
We checked every foot of that basement.
You should have checked the inches.
Friday, August 22nd, 3:42 p.m.
Class is about to begin, Elliot. I trust you boys have done your homework.
The School of Death had convened for the day. A school designed to make assassination a polished performance. A school whose every graduate earned the degree Assassin, Ph.D.
Come and kill me. Remember, you must know every muscle in the body in karate. You must know every muscle in the heart to kill.
The theory of the kill was one thing, the practice another. The master schooled his students thoroughly in both.
Turn on the lights.
Well, did we kill you, Mr. Bayless?
No, Rick. But I got both of you right through the heart. All right, boys. School's out.
Elliot? School's out.
We go.
Yes?
Mr. Lloyd Bayless, you're under arrest.
Elliot Ness. Has one of my neighbors reported a still in this house?
The charge is murder. Probably 100 counts.
You only have to prove one.
Easy. Spats Vincent.
I said you have to prove one.
We will.
All right, officer. I'll go quietly.
Not yet. I have a search warrant.
You don't need that. You're perfectly welcome. Come in. Come in.
After you, Mr. Bayless.
You have a search warrant? Help yourself. I suggest that you start in the music room. I have a wonderful Renoir there.
A lady with chrysanthemums. I've already admired it.
You are very neat. Well, since you've taken the grand tour on your own, Mr. Ness, what can I do for you?
You can show me your classroom.
My classroom?
The tuition's rather high, judging from the $10,000 deposited to your account at the Security Bank of Evanston the first of every month.
You see that, El Greco? It is priceless. But there are men who will pay a price for such a prize. I'm one of them. You should check my accounts on the 5th of the month. They're overdrawn.
I know, Mr. Bayless. I know a lot about you. I also know about your two students, the offspring of small-time hoods who moved to town 4 days after the murder of Arnold Spats Vincent. They're in custody now, along with their families. Louie and Rick haven't completed your course yet, Mr. Bayless. They can be made to talk.
Will you have a cup of tea?
No, thanks.
A cup of tea goes well with some nice little cakes this time of the afternoon, Mr. Ness.
Didn't come here for tea, little cakes, or charming conversation. Now show me that classroom, or I'll bring my men in here and put an axe through every wall in this house. We're not going to stop to remove your paintings, Mr. Bayless.
That won't be necessary.
One more stop and he's on his own. I wish we had bugged that classroom.
What do you use for hot water?
Our working heater is down below.
After you. Joe Nova.
Diamond Joe Nova, age 46 years, height 5'6", weight 160 pounds, carries a gun in his left-hand coat pocket. Talks with a decided stammer. Diamond Joe Nova.
School's over. Who'd you work for, Bayless?
Take your pick.
Between 1916 and 1922, who'd you work for?
Oh, guerrilla fighter, Irish rebellion.
Ireland? A record of a passport?
A mere formality, Mr. Ness. Oh, what a wonderful group those guerrilla fighters were. And what a darling war.
Darling war.
Shrapnel finished me for combat, so I wandered around Europe for a while, and then I discovered art again. And then in the south of France, I discovered a direction.
Direction that brought you to Chicago?
What do? You have expensive tastes, and the ability to kill is your only negotiable talent.
You open a school of death.
Every society has had its corps of killers. In the last war, the English had the Gurkhas, the Russians had the Cossacks, the Germans had the stormtroopers. The people I work for also have need for a corps of killers.
What do you use for targets? You're not shooting at people.
Permit me.
Let the young men do your killing for you. The murders you turn out.
I turn them out solely as the need arises. Replacements for the field.
One of your graduates who learned his lesson well, a Mr. John Doe. You simplify our records if you tell us his name.
In the 7 years I've been here, I've graduated only 16 students. I don't seem to recall a John Doe.
Tell me, Mr. Bayless, is it difficult to teach how to kill?
To kill on command, it is. Without question, without reason.
Like they killed Spats Vincent?
When you've played the game long enough.
All right, let's go.
Over here, Mr. Ness. Here I am. Why don't you shoot, Mr. Ness? Afraid to expose your position? Come on, Mr. Ness. Come and kill me.
Take you alive, Mr. Bayless.
You're breathing faster, Mr. Ness. I can hear you. Oh, please, Mr. Ness, not that schoolboy device. Throwing something across the room. Quite right. Why hurry it? It's something for a hunter to have his prey within range. And big game.
You're confusing hunter with hunted.
There are 100 ways to kill you, Mr. Ness. 100 ways.
Bayless, listen to me. 16 graduates make you a multiple accessory to murder. You know when your career is over. Ellis. Give me the top man, the man who pulls the trigger. It might help you.
The Master of Death died August 22nd, 1930. His School of Death died with him. Elliot Ness and the Untouchables had succeeded in destroying the most vicious tentacle of organized crime in the city of Chicago.
The incidents portrayed in this episode are fictional, although certain of the characterizations are based upon the book The Untouchables by Elliot Ness and Oscar Fraley.